Very good. Thank you. Got an emergency.
Okay.
She was not available at this point, but I
Yes.
left a message. Hopefully she'll be able to call back in.
Very good.
And
Thank
she
you,
can
Ms.
join the
Parker.
meeting.
All right, can we all rise and for our
You
pledge
didn't
of
call.
allegiance?
Excuse me. Excuse me.
I'm sorry.
You didn't call me.
Oh, Mr. Lewis, he's not on the roll call either?
Lewis,
Present.
thank you.
Pledge allegiance.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. At this time, can we please call Mr. Brannon? We have two speakers today, Mr. Richard Jones and Mr. Lawrence Brannon.
Address? Okay. Lawrence Brandon, 445 Fieldwood Street, Augusta, Georgia, 30901. All right. Thank you, and may it please this body. On February 25th, I went before the commission and I requested that they add the following language: persons with criminal histories, not to include persons convicted of violent felonies as defined by Georgia law, who have completed all court-imposed sentences and have been free of criminal involvement within 3 years of applying for employment, to Section 140 of Article 5, Chapter 1 of Charter and Laws of Local Application under Augusta Richmond Code. On that day, they suggested that I come to this body because it was a matter dealing with the charter. Now, I want to give you the language of what the section currently says. The government of Augusta Richmond County shall encourage the meaningful involvement in its operations of all citizens of Augusta Richmond County, particularly those who are members of minority or other traditionally disadvantaged groups. And that's the element that I'm focusing on, traditionally disadvantaged groups, because we all know persons with criminal histories face social, economic, employment, and housing disadvantages, to name a few. So we would be remiss not to recognize that particular group as a traditionally disadvantaged group. And so I'm asking that when we come across this section, I don't know when you all will approach this section, that you look into adding this language, because they are a traditionally disadvantaged group. And we need to look at it, especially with that Checker report that came out that said, the earning potential here, So, I mean, we need to look at seeing if we can get more opportunities for persons, not violent felons. I want to be clear about that, because I don't want my words to get mixed up or twisted. But those persons with criminal histories, not to include persons convicted of violent felonies as defined by Georgia law, who have completed all court-imposed sentences and have been free from criminal involvement within 3 years of applying for employment. And I mean, I really prefer y'all not give me crickets today, because what y'all say here will determine how I move forward, because really the commission can do this, and I know they can, but they're sending me here, and if you guys say no, I won't be mad. I'm just going to take it back to the commission.
Ms. Burrell, correct me if I'm wrong, that comes under the administrative law portion of the charter?
That would actually be more appropriate for an ordinance. And so that is not something necessarily that this committee would address.
So it's policy. To be clear, it's policy. So that's something for the commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brannon. Mr. Jones? Commissioners, come to the front so you don't have so far to walk when you get here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Richard Jones, 2316 Tudor Drive, Augusta, Georgia. The meeting that you had with, I'm gonna start off by saying the meeting you had the last time when Ms. Nelson from North Carolina gave her presentation was great. And I want to thank Ms. Robertson, if she's on the line, for her presentation, her handout she had referenced ethics and corruption as well. But one word that stands out to me that came to my attention was the word of integrity, which was not added. And the reason why I'm using the word integrity is because if you don't have good moral standings and righteousness, it could lead to corruption and violation of ethics. And I can give you a good example of it about what the mayor did. If anybody want to ask me what that issue was. You guys on the committee here, along with Jay Vincent, I would like for you to make sure you guys address each department, of course, and under the guidelines overseeing or how they can improve their SOPs that was supposedly submitted to, that each department should be following under rules, regulations, safety, et cetera. I do have a question for the city attorney and also for Jay Vincent. My question for the city attorney is, are you going to be or uphold the charter and the ordinance of the cities for things that should be done correctly that don't violate ethics or corruption procedures, as in the case I could mention, like your predecessor did during the process of acquiring ambulatory emergency services. For Jay Vincent, I would like for y'all to make sure you guys address each department under the new charter review, and that we need transparency addressing both of these issues so that when it comes time for the commissioners to vote on it, that there will be no issues, hopefully, going forward. But the problem with ethics and corruption, that could involve politics. And we know politics is a dirty game. But my concern, the word integrity. Any questions?
This is going to frustrate you. We are drawing a broad-brushed ethics policy that doesn't currently exist. It does in portions and pieces, but it is not a comprehensive, and it is currently under review with Carl Vincent and with the attorney for eliminating those issues that are taken care of at the state level and other things that have to be enacted by ordinance. And so your input is valuable. This body cannot give you any answers because it's in a state of flux right now. And I've taken notes to pass along to Ms. Robinson because we're all working pretty hard behind the scenes and probably have a few things we'd like to see added for evaluation as well.
Madam Chairman, would you also, or is the local state delegation going to be involved in that?
Not until they get the end product.
Okay. Okay.
But the issue of delving into the individual departments is not part of our charge, and so I know we can't do that. We can make rules that are overarching for the whole organization and are severely limited on what we can do. We are seeking to do as much as we're able to do.
Okay. And my last comment just came to mind, and was who's going to have the power? Is it going to be the mayor or the city administrator?
That is yet to be decided. We haven't voted on it yet.
In reference to, I know the issue's been brought up about firing individuals. Before, in years gone by, they used to have a human resource committee that dealt with those kind of issues.
Yeah,
They don't have that no more.
right. Mr. Jones, I'm sorry, your 3 minutes is up. These are good concerns. We will take them all into account. And I think you're voicing some of the very issues we're taking up.
We look forward to hearing some input and results.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you coming to speak with us.
Thank you.
All right. Next agenda item. I'm not exactly sure how this is going to play out, but for the public's sake, we felt there was a good need to try to receive information and opinions from our former commissioners, since they had been in the hot seats, had to pay for the mistakes of their predecessors, and everybody will have their opinions. And so I'd kind of like to go straight down the line here. Matt's in the back, all right, and Ben is back there, but let's start with Don, if you wouldn't mind. This is Don Grantham. Thank you for coming, Don.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Chairman, and I should have come in early, I guess, instead of late. But I have a few opinions, and I just like to express them and give some ideas that might be worthy of what we have been through now since 1995. And that is, and I applaud each one of you sitting on the podium being selected to serve in this, what I call an undesirable position. But I think we put the cart before the horse. What I would have done, or what I would have suggested to be done, is that you should have called on these commissioners that was in the trenches from 1995 up until now. Get their first opinions as to what they've been through and how the law and how the charter has applied during that period of time. Then contact your public to see if they agree with what y'all are coming up with. But to me, that would have made a little better sense than where we are now, because we don't know what you have talked about. We don't know what y'all are pulling in or out of the charter. But we do know that there's to be a new charter, we hope. So that, along with when this charter was first put in place, as I said in 95, we had some serious discussions, and I was a part of that. But my point is that we used equal representation based on population. And equal representation, as far as a commissioner goes, meant that we had 5 commissioners representing one district, 5 commissioners representing the other. The mayor did not have a vote. That has changed tremendously. The mayor now has a vote, and I'm not opposed to that, but I still think we need to have equal representation of the population and how the racial makeup is. That was argued on numerous occasions in the past, and I don't know of a reason why we need to argue any further on what needs to be done now to give the equal representation that we did then. Madam Chair, I thank you for serving in this position. It's one that I know is thankless, but it's one that I know is needed. And I don't know how many times we can go through organizing the charter or making things right or trying to make it right, but this is not the last time. You'll have more times to do this than what has happened in the past. So I applaud you for doing it. I thank you. I'm happy to serve and help in any way I can. And please call on me if you need to.
Thank you, Commissioner Grantham, and thank you for making family arrangements so you could be with us. All right, we've got Mr. Coleman.
Mr. Grantham, I have one question. How often do you think the charter needs to be reviewed from this point forward? How often do you think the charter needs to be reviewed for upgrades or changes from this point forward? Because it's been since the early 90s since it was created, and this is the first serious attempt to try to update the charter, and I just want to know your input on how often do you think the charter needs to be reviewed?
Well, I was thinking the charter needs to be reviewed when you start having a lot of issues and having problems within your departments, problems within the city government and everything else. So, you know, I don't think there's a set time. I think there's certainly to be reviewed by you or by the sitting commissioners, but when you've got bad vibes going on, that's when I think you need to start looking at your dirty laundry.
Okay, Miss Backus.
Grantham, I have a question. You mentioned 5 and 5, and I know that it's been brought up quite a bit. And I assume that you mean 5 black commission members and then 5 white commission members.
I call them African Americans as well as the white members, yes.
Oh, well,
I give the respect to what they are.
gotcha. Yeah.
I understand that. You and I know where we are.
So I don't know that legally it can be put into a charter to require that. And I know sometimes it's a gentleman's agreement versus what is in writing. But I believe, if I remember correctly, Carl Vinson Institute, when they did the population demographics, it is over 60% Black in Richmond County. And right now, we do have 4 white commissioners, so it is actually still lining up with the demographics. It's not 5 and 5, it's 6 and 4, but it does actually line up with the racial demographics of our community. Would you agree with that? And is that what you think it should be? Because again, I don't know that we can put it in the charter to say it needs to be 5 white and 5 black. But it does actually match the racial profile.
Well, and I understand where you're coming from, and you're right on the 60-40. But when this charter was first initiated, it was like 56 white and 44 black or less.
Yeah.
And so there was an argument as to having representation among the black population and the Caucasian population. So Mr. Charles Walker and several others have met in my office on Thanksgiving Day in 1993. And we were there to discuss this. And that's when we started with reviving the charter. And so at that point, it was mentioned to have equal representation regardless of what the population was. And I don't know, if we're looking to work together and stay together and be together, I think we need to pray together.
Gotcha. Attorney Plunkett, our Carl Vinson Institute, can you clarify, can that be put in the charter to require a certain racial demographic?
I think you can put almost anything you want in a charter. I don't think it would be enforced or be found to be legal.
Gotcha.
So my answer would be no, you shouldn't put it in your charter.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Chair acknowledges my friend Fouché here.
Mr. Grantham, thank you for being here today, and thank you for your comments. I'd like to ask you and each commissioner that speaks after you, are you implying at-large voting with single district representation?
Yes, if we had representation that equals the
At-large voting.
the at-large voting, then yes, I'd be in favor of it. Otherwise, I would not.
Thank you for your input. If we could have each of the commissioners that follow you address that, I would really appreciate that.
Thank you for the question. Anyone else? If not, I'll be in the lobby.
God bless you, sir. Ms. Fair, can I call upon you next?
Ms. Fair Davis. No, I love it. I'm always still a Fair. Thank y'all so much for having us here today. And like Don said, this is a thankless job. But I always kept something in mind. Try not to listen to the loud, small percentage of naysayers. Just try to look at the big picture. Try to do what's right in your heart. Work together as a group. Compromise is hard to do, but it is a wonderful thing when you do it. The main thing I really wanted to mention were just a few of the high-level points that I hope that y'all really focus on, because if you make, in my mind, one major change, then the government's going to be better off for many, many, many years that my children and grandchildren will enjoy. I believe we need a city manager. I think all of the commissioners, that have seen the hiring and or been a part of the hiring and firing of directors, it is not our job, I feel like, in my opinion. But we've all seen it. I think in all of our terms, we probably witnessed it once or twice or more. This is their livelihoods, the directors. and to be afraid to come to a meeting on Tuesday. They would tell me what they would call Tuesday meetings, and I will not repeat it in public. But it's not a positive thing. That's why I think so. The city manager answers to the commission and the mayor. The commission and the mayor sets policy, period, end of story. They set policy. They do not deal with the day-to-day workings of this government. That is up to the manager working with the department heads, with them working with their employees. That's my opinion. And, you know, if you really think about it, if you own a business, would you hire your top person to oversee that business who really doesn't have the background of managing people? So I do believe also in the strong mayor. I am so glad that the mayor has a vote. That puts that mayor equal with the commission, because there was always a little bit of a thing with the mayors when I was in office that they felt more powerful. But the mayor is elected by our entire city. So why wouldn't that mayor have a vote? So that's great. I believe in a strong mayor. Y'all had mentioned a little bit about commissioners being voted at large. I think it needs to still stay the way it is, that you are voted in by your district. As a commissioner in District 3, I know that district inside and out. I know the issues from living there. I know that what could happen to increase retail development, commercial development, that type of thing. That's why when we don't know what's going on in other commissioners, we get to learn from other commissioners, other districts, and that's a beautiful thing. So, and I think 10 commissioners, too many, but I know that's an uphill battle right there. So that's my really 3 key points. I think if you make, again, one of those changes, you have done a phenomenal job and a great service to this community. What was your question I was supposed to answer? Was that was it? Was it the at-large? Charlie, you had mentioned reviewing the charter. I mean, I couldn't imagine really going through all of this shorter than a 10-year period, to be honest. That's just my opinion. You're going to always have problems in this government, and you just work through them. So you can't just make changes to handle those problems, every problem that comes up, I think. So, Madam Chair, that's what I just came to say, those few things.
Okay, hang on one second. Mr. Wimberly.
The vote for the mayor having a vote, you said that put the mayor equal with the commissioners. So that means the commissioners also equal with the mayor. So when it comes to representing Augusta, does that mean each commissioner has the same ability as the mayor to represent the government with outside agencies?
No, I think that what I mean by that is just a vote on policy, meaning equal amount of representation for the vote on policy. The mayor's here on a full-time job and elected by the entire city. So they're going to work more closely with, of course, representing with agencies and still working with the manager here on a day-to-day basis. So that's what's going to set apart the mayor from the commissioners. I was just talking about the equal power, per se, if you want to use that word, to be able to cast a vote for policy. Does that answer?
It's an answer.
Commissioner Fair Davis. Thank you for making
Thank
your
y'all
way
again
down
for
here.
all of your hard work.
Thank you, hon. Commissioner Frampton.
How's everybody doing? Great to be back. First, thank y'all for what y'all are doing. When I was on the commission, we said no former elected officials on this body. There's a reason for that, and I know there's been a lot of ridicule, a lot of things in the media. Y'all have almost been the new commissioner for the last 6 months, and y'all put up with a lot. So thank y'all for what y'all have done. I'm gonna be short and sweet. City manager form of government, anything else shouldn't even be discussed. You can't have 11 bosses. People don't want to come work for Augusta because of the setup of this government. People's careers have been killed in Augusta because of the setup of this government. It needs to be a city manager form of government. Commissioner needs to have an oversight of that city manager and hiring and firing her, but everything else needs to be handled through that city manager. Thankfully, right now, we got somebody in place that can do it. Charter review needs to be reviewed every 5 to 7 years. I think that if this group was to focus on that, those two things, all this other things are ordinances. CFO needs to happen. That's an ordinance and things that the commission can handle. Some of the other things that have been discussed in the community, I think y'all discussed the sheriff and the marshal coming together. It just came out there. Though I think it's a good idea. I do. It ain't the right time for it, but it could be down the road when there's a little bit different politics involved, let's just call it, of what we currently have, because it would function better. Trust me, I know. There was differences between the former sheriff and the marshal when I was here. But for right now, if this group was to focus on the city manager form of government and a time for review, I think the voters would overwhelmingly support it. Because frankly, there's not many people that live in Richmond County that are happy with the form of government that's happened. I mean, this government, we're front page news, 6 o'clock news with George Escala every day because of how we are, the interactions that we have. And to be honest with you, it's unjust in some respects because we did agree 95% of the time. But at the end of the day, it became diversive, racial diversive, whatever, district diversive, whatever you want to call it, on the 5%, and that's what they led with. So I hope that you guys will focus on the big picture here because Rome wasn't built in a day, and this isn't going to get done in a day. And if you were to focus on the city manager form of government and the fact that you're bringing it back to the people in 5 to 7 years or whatever that time frame is to review, I think that overwhelmingly this community would support it. Thank you.
Hang on, if you would, Representative. We would like you to address the at-large voting, but I'm going to acknowledge Ms. Backus first, please.
I'm not changing anything. I was part of the census review. I mean, like, it is what it is. It needs to stay what it is. People, the representation's there based on the dynamics of Richmond County. I mean.
Okay. Ms. Backus?
So my question is regarding the city manager. You said nobody should have to report to 11 bosses. So when you say that, just to clarify, do you think that the city manager should report only to the mayor?
No, not to the mayor, to the full body.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you say 11 bosses, you're talking about the department heads?
I'm talking about the current setup.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a good setup for anyone that wants to come work here.
Okay, so that's all I wanted to clarify because I know that that same phrase has been used in regards to who the city manager should report to, and that it should only. Okay.
Yeah, the mayor should have the mayor should have no more authority than the 10 elected officials.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Backus. Mr. Coleman?
Thank you for coming on, former Commissioner Franum. One of the things that I think about in this form of government you're talking about setting up with a city manager and the actual abilities of that city manager being able to also have a lot of influence on department heads, not only just evaluations, but I think one of the most positive, and I'm asking you this question, the positive outcomes of that type of government, we would have better people applying for department head jobs. Because I honestly feel, and a lot of people I've talked to in the community think that we do not have a lot of people that apply for some of these top jobs because of the current setup of the government is now. Our commission is liable to change by 5 individuals every 2 years, and you have a job from Tuesday to Tuesday. So I think that restricts, and it actually hurts the city from getting some top-tier candidates for those positions. What are your thoughts on that?
100%. It also, if they're already here, they don't know whether they can be promoted because of the governing body. So absolutely, that would help shut down that narrative that is in the community, it's in the country. You know, do you really want to come work for Augusta because of the government setup? 100%.
Thank you. Mr. Pearson?
Okay. If you would come back to the mic for a second.
I'm looking at the microphone, sorry.
Hey, thank you for being here.
Yes, sir.
My question is in regards to the super district commissioners. What's your understanding as to why they exist?
Well, during my time, I had multiple commissioners that either passed away and there was a second commissioner there to help support those districts. I mean, I understand why it was set up. I agree, I believe that if it was to go down to 8, it might be better functionality of the government, but it's not the time. I think that people would feel they weren't represented as well if there was only 8 commissioners versus 10. But this is why I think that you're not going to get everything to get where you want to go, I don't think you're going to get everything done in this first round. And I think that we need to focus on the big picture. And I think Augusta's image and how it is perceived will change drastically if it changes to a city manager form of government.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Ms. Robinson has joined us. Is she wanting to speak? Okay. Mr. France.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us this morning. I have just a couple of questions about the city manager role and responsibilities. Do you feel, in your opinion, that the city manager should be rated by the council, by the mayor and the council? And if so, should the mayor be a senior rater and the council be first line rater? And the other question would be, before you answer, the other question would be, what about the department heads? Would the city manager rate the department heads as well?
In this government, the mayor cannot have more of a say. I mean, he's equal with the 10 commissioners. You start doing that and it's going to get bad. They're all elected. The department head should be interviewing them and bringing the recommendation to the full body just as like a pass-through if this is my person. I mean, I just think that when commissioners get involved in hiring, it gets political and it becomes, who do they know? Are they friends from Atlanta that they've known wanting to get them here? Because that's happened multiple times during the time I was elected. Or how things work would be better if the manager handles the hiring and the firing, and then he or she brings the recommendation to the governing body. The governing body is including the mayor that has a vote. It's not the mayor's up here and then you got 10 commissioners. That'll never work.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Frandom, Commissioner Frandom. Mr. Todd.
Good morning, Madam Chairman and committee members. Since I first spoke to the committee, I think that it's changed by 15 to 20%. So I will stay with what I started with. I believe that if you, with a computer, if you put garbage in, you get garbage out. And I think with the human mind process, if you put bad data in or bad information in from that group of individuals, you're going to get bad data. So I recommended that the Carl Vinson and the committee look at the American Modern City, the National Civic League, American Modern City. I also made some suggestions in reference to process, the swearing in, the pledge to allegiance, because we certainly should do that with starting any meeting, and have made constructed and hopefully objective advice to the committee over the process. So to my knowledge, I haven't taken a public position on what form of government we should have, but my questions was to the chair and to the committee, which form of government is less malfeasant, which form of government have the best success as far as eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse, and issues like that. So I'm going to stick with that. I'm not going to make a public comment on what form of government I think you should come up with. Now, there's some on the committee, and some of my friends say, well, we know where you're at. Well, I'm glad you're good at reading the mind. Minds. I negotiated and pushed for the former commissioners coming forth because I believe that Don Dranford is not a Port Authority commissioner just because of his name. I think that the governor see more in him than that. And I think that whether I agree with him on issues, I would want the brain trust of individuals like Don Dranfin, Jerry Brigham, or Mayor, Mayor Scania's, the mayors, and Ben Hassan, and Marion Williams, individuals like that, that's lived, that's set up there in the hot seat where you're at, you know, as commissioner. I would hope that you do some deep thinking and deep thinking in the sense that you are objective and you don't bring the personal issues that you know you may have or you hear from community. I've been criticized for following this process, and you know I take that criticism and wear it as a badge of honor. As I've said from the first or second meeting in subcommittee meetings, that you know this group is not a grand jury. You can't fix, you can't put water back up, you know, the hill under the bridge. That water's under the bridge. You got to make sure that you keep those guardrails up. That individuals like Jerry Brigham, the late Willie Mays, and Don Dranfin and Bill Koke put in place to start this government. So those are my comments.
And you are correct. You are responsible for many good ideas this committee has adopted, and we appreciate your involvement.
And if I may answer
Sure.
the
At large.
the at-large voting, I presented. I brought a question to you in reference to the at-large voting lawsuit of 1987, and it was kind of vague on whether it was or wasn't. So I went on and pulled the Southern District case, had to call down to Bromsett, and that was CV 187-004. So I think that if you look at that case, that will answer the at-large voting issue for you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. No questions. Reverend Williams. Thanks, Shelby.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and to this committee. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to stand. I've been asking when were we going to get that opportunity, because in here the mayors came and the administrator came, and I just couldn't understand why those who work under this charter, under this situation, have not been asked first. Commissioner Grantham made an excellent point. I mean, I was really excited about what he said and the way he said it, because it's true. Until you sit in that hot seat, you don't really understand and to make decisions. But let's just go ahead and address the elephant in the room. People act like they don't see. We are a diverse city in Augusta. We are truly 6% of the population. And for a long time, the black population didn't feel like they was getting the representation. And that's why the charter was even put together, well, not the charter, but the consolidation bill was put together in the first place, because there was so much bickering about who did what. And when those personalities come out and people forget that we are human and we all get upset, we all get aggravated and frustrated. I got some documents that I brought today to show that the newspaper article wrote our true feelings about certain things when we spoke out, when we was upset, when we disagreed. But let me go back and set the record straight. First of all, we had Fred Russell come in, and I said to somebody, Fred Russell never been an administrator. Fred Russell came into the city of Augusta as a police officer from Richmond, Virginia. In fact, Fred Russell came in with George Cole, who really said he was a manager, but he wasn't a city manager. He was a manager of utilities in Richmond, Virginia. But we gave him an opportunity to work in Augusta as an administrator here, and he claimed to be a manager. And I bickered with him a lot of times. Mayor, I told him and said, you can't manage nothing in here because you're not a manager, you're an administrator. because that's what the former government we had. And he wanted to change it to that. Well, people saying, well, we need a manager administrator. It don't make no difference to me. Manager administrator, they got the same, just different title, same job. The rumors have been put out, they work for six people. They don't work for 60, they don't work for 10, 11 people. They work for 6 people in total. If there's a recommendation, in my 16 years of working as a commissioner, I missed 2 meetings. In my 16 years, I hadn't heard anybody recommend for somebody to be hired or fired that they didn't do. If there was a reason for the administrator to terminate somebody, but because of the politics, and we don't like to talk about the politics, but politics is low down and they're dirty. But those are politics. One day people with you, the next day they're not because of the politics. And if you lose that fact, if you lose the fact about the politics, then you might well go home. Because if you're going to stay on that board from now on, you'll be changing from here to there. The government is what it is, and politics is, like I said, is low down. And you have to gain 6 votes. My good friend, Mayor Davis, said the mayor ought to have a vote at the same power. I disagree with that as commissioner. If the mayor's going to get the vote, he's going to have the same power, then the commissioner needs to have the same salary. You can't get the money and the power too now. Something wrong with that. If you're going to make them equal, now let's be real. One made $20,000, one made $80,000, but he got the same vote. That don't make good sense to me. So I wanted to put some on the screen. I want to just show you some. I've got a letter that Bob Young sent around, and when he was running for office, I want to just give you a couple of highlights of it. I don't want to get you in all this stuff, but I saved so much of this stuff. Will you put that up? I saved so much of this stuff that I got a bedroom full of articles that the Augusta Chronicle, the Metro Spirit. I'm trying to help you out, but if I can't do it, but these are the type of things that people were saying when the politics is not flowing, when they get mad with you, when they think you're trying to take advantage. We got to grow this city together. We're all in this city together. The diversity, the division is studied, being spread even more and more every day. But when people get upset with you, they'll say all kind of mean things. They'll stab you in the back. In fact, they'll cut your throat if they don't physically have to take a knife and do it. They'll pull the chair from under you. But that's politics, and we have to let the politics go where they're going. All I'm saying is I don't think nothing needs to be changed. I don't think there needs to be at large voting. I think we need to have representation for each district. Somebody mentioned about the super district. When you got a super district, you got 2 commissioners. Most people don't even know that. When you start off with an issue, you already got 2 commissioners, because each side got 2 commissioners. That's the super district and that district commissioner. So all they need to get is 4 more votes to get whatever they want done in that area. But so many people are not being represented in the area, so they get upset about it. And they say stuff that just got us to the point where we just lost focus on what politics is really all about. So saying that, the mayors came in, they talked as long as they want. The administrator talked for an hour and a half, I think, but the commission got 5 minutes. And they worked upon it. I totally disagree. So this board's gonna be fair now. If you're gonna be fair with everybody, you already had the same opportunity. There's so much that I learned. I'm not the smartest man in this room. But when I was in here, I paid attention. I was concerned about the people. I didn't do black or white. I tried to do what was right. And people didn't understand that. And here it is now, we're saying that we can't. But these are some issues. Can you get us a copy? I can give you a copy of everything I got, yes, ma'am. But that don't mean the general public gonna see it. You'll see it, but they still won't know what I'm trying to share with you. But okay, well, if you do that, I would love to post it to the website. Let me give you both of these. I see.
The reason we had to limit the times.
Your microphone.
Excuse me. The reason we had to limit the times is there are many more commissioners, and we heard from 3 mayors, 1 deceased and 1 just.
One last comment, Madam Chairman. I worked with an administrator who didn't want to meet with the mayor. Not this mayor, but I can give you instances where the administrator didn't want to meet with the mayor because of the authority he objected into his voice and the way he treated that person that didn't want to meet by themselves. every Monday morning, the mayor pro tem and the mayor and the minister is supposed to have a meeting. Half of that time it didn't happen because that's politics though. And if you don't understand politics, you won't understand that.
Thank you, sir. We have some questions if you want to just hang on one second. Mr. Wimberly. Thank you, Robert.
Commissioner Williams, could you put your chart back up there with those statements that was being made? The one she said that we will put on the web?
Yeah, but
During the time that these statements was printed, what was the makeup of the commission?
5 and 5.
5 and 5.
5 blacks and 5 whites.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Let me see real quick here. You still have yours on, Lonnie? Thanks. All right. Thank you, hon.
That's it.
You bet. Can we call Commissioner Brigham, followed by Commissioner Harris?
First off, thank y'all for the invite. I appreciate it. I'm probably going to talk about several things that hadn't been talked about. And I'm going to start with the first. In the charter, originally, there was some language that we would have a universal water rate. Prior to consolidation, we had a city water rate, we had a county water rate, and we had a West Augusta water rate. All of them were different. I think one of the things that the commission over the years have gotten right is water. We hadn't done much else right, but we've done that right. Everybody's charged the same. Everybody has had an effort to get sewage to them or get water to them. Water is an economic growth pattern that we got to have. Okay, so the other thing that is in the charter is that we have an urban services district and we have a suburban services district. We provide a lot of the same services to both districts. I think it would be advisable to tax the same way for those services. I think that is a charter issue. I think a lot of stuff y'all are getting are not charter issues, but I think that's a charter issue. And I think it is best resolved by being taxed through millage rate because the legislature has introduced bills for the last decade to eliminate fees from the property tax bill. You don't believe me there, you can go check that out yourself. Now for the issues that y'all have talked about. I guess the biggest thing everybody's concerned about is whether we're going to have a manager or a strong mayor or what. I believe that we should have a person that is in charge of the departments called a chief operational officer, to get out of the language of administrator and administrator, because they have different images in different people's mind. But a chief operational officer, I think we can all understand that. Okay. As for 11 bosses, and everybody says, I wouldn't work for 11 bosses. Well, if you work for small business, you work for one person. If you work for GM, you don't work for one person, you work for the board of directors. I don't know how many people on that board of directors, but I can guarantee you it's not one. If you work for Ford, you work for a board of directors. That ain't one person. So I think the current setup of the commission hiring and firing the chief administrative officer of the county is best. That's my opinion. As for at-large voting, well, I don't think that we're going to get that. I think that we've already been to court over that. I think we found out that there's one man, one vote in the United States. I think that applies to Congress. I think it applies to the state of Georgia, and I guarantee you, I think it applies to Augusta. As for Augusta, Richmond County, Fred Russell made a big deal that y'all need to do something about the name. That was done in 1997 when Jack Connell introduced a bill that renamed Augusta, Richmond County to Augusta. That's been done. Y'all can take that off your plate. I'd rather y'all ask me questions because I'm having trouble thinking about what I want to say. The other thing I will say is you got a diverse group of commissioners here. I've served with most of them. Hadn't been here, what you say, Marion, 18 years? 16 years? 16 years. I made 14. I was elected as many times as Marion, but I always drew a short straw when I got elected. I don't understand why that happened. Might be a difference between a Democrat and a Republican, but that happened. Did I answer the general questions? Mm-hmm. Got a question for you. Okay, I'll take some questions. I've probably gone over the limit already anyway.
Ms. Backus.
Good morning. So my question is, you mentioned that the commission should hire and fire the CEO, manager, administrator, whatever that role is going to be called. Do you think that that role should be responsible for hiring and firing the department heads?
Originally, when I was elected, I did not. But you got to understand, we had a plate of spaghetti that we were trying to organize. And the commission, prior to consolidation, changed chairmans every year. And with every year, there was also a vote to retain or let loose department heads. I was a commissioner. That's what I was used to. And I believe that department heads does a lot. The commission makes policy, but the policy that's perceived by the public is the policy that those department heads carry out. So I felt like the commission should have some say in who were department heads.
Okay.
I think we've grown past that. I would hope that we have a person that's in charge that can oversee the department heads. Love spam.
And I have one more question, and it was just brought up to me recently, and I haven't actually, if I'm going to be honest, gone back and verified if it's accurate. I was just whispering to Rod, I was like, is this true? And it popped in my head after y'all had spoken, so I apologize for not bringing it up to you. But they talked a lot about equal power between the mayor and the commissioners, and it was brought up to me that the mayor doesn't have an appointee on some of the committees, like the airport and planning and zoning committees. Do you think in order for that power structure to be a little bit more equal, that the mayor should have an appointee on those other committees so that he also has a voice in those spaces?
that's not an easy question. Some of the boards and authorities, membership, well, let's take that. The authorities' membership is dictated by state law, and they're in 11 appointments to authorities.
Gotcha.
Okay, so in that case, the answer is no. For as cities, boards, and commissions, we already have 10 members appointed to most of them. From the commission, we have 2 from the legislature, that's 12. 1 more from the mayor would be 13. I don't have a problem with that. It don't really matter. First time I got elected to the school board, there were 16 members. And one thing I could say about 16 members on a board is you could usually find somebody that would agree with you on your opinion. The day I got elected to the school board, the public decided to reduce the number to 9. Again, I drew the short straw. I got 2, with staggered terms, I got the 2-year term instead of the 4-year term. I still don't understand that, but, well, I do, but I don't. Might as well have some fun at this.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
The other thing I want to say is thank y'all for serving. Having had to sit up on that table, what I used to say when I was at the school board, the only thing you got guaranteed when you got elected was you got a chance to sit at the table and a chance to raise your hand in public and make your friends mad. And y'all all are learning that chance. It's a good experience. Everybody needs it at once. Is there any other questions? I know I've took up more time than I needed. Okay. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Jerry. And thank you, Deb, for driving them down here. Welcome, Commissioner Harris.
Hello, and thank y'all, as everybody else has said, for doing this work. Marion said he'd been here 18 years. Jerry said he'd been here 16 years, and I was probably here the shortest of all of them. To this day, I still send Sean thank you notes for beating me in the runoff, so I retired and I moved on. My biggest thing today is asking my dog, what are we going to do today? Anyway, I wasn't up here very long, but I did see how it works on that side of the table. I believe you need a strong administrator who, this is a gigantic business. I mean, you can't sugarcoat it. This is a humongous business. When I was here, there was a $800 and something million budget. We're well past that now, which I question if that needs to be that big, but that's neither here nor there. And, somebody needs to actually run the business and all the little things. But when I was here, you could see when it came to directors, the commissioners could get together and they could turn on one of them at the drop of a hat. And all of a sudden, so most of these, the directors, excuse me, but a lot of them walked around on eggshells, because they were saying, good Lord, if I don't do what he says, I'm going to be out on the streets. And that's not how you run a business. You had HR departments in some businesses and that sort of thing. But the truth of the matter is you need one person who's in charge. Now, they can be reviewed by the whole commission, and there ought to be some real serious reasons on why that person has to be cut off and say, we're going to go hire another one. And the track record on administrators pretty short anyway. They come to work to Augusta, Georgia, and then they find out they could do pretty much the same thing in another city without near the headaches, and they leave, which is not a good way to run your business. So I personally think you ought to have somebody who I guess you end up answering to the commission because that's actually who they answer to, but there ought to be a way to have some sort of coding, if you will, so that they can't just make one of them mad, next thing you know, they're out the door. And then all of a sudden you start the whole process over a second time. And that would be my main thing. Anybody got a question?
All right, that's
Even better, okay. Thank you so much.
I think,
Thank you, Commissioner Harris. Ms.
think
Backus?
the at-large voting, did
Oh, Hap, one last question, I'm sorry. Could you speak to the at-large voting question?
You know, over the years, I've thought that would probably be better, but you have districts, and each district is going to want to have their own representation. So I'm assuming, based on history, I guess, and the way the population is and all that, the districts work. Now, yeah, I think so.
All right, very good. Thank you for the feedback on that.
All right, so before I turn around, anybody else got a question?
No feeling.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I call, I think we have two left. Okay, so we have Matt, can you come speak first, and then Ben, can you wrap it up? We're not missing anybody else, I don't think. Okay.
Good morning. Matt Aiken, former District Commissioner 1. Thank you for this opportunity. And, you know, when I sat up there, District 1 was a pretty hot seat that back then. George Escala, when I got elected, he said, Matt, is this a gang of 6? I said, no, sir, it's a gang of 10. Unity, we got to work together in how we do that. And your role is so important. I'm just going to tell you that. And there's a lot of noise around y'all, just like it was when I was there. But if you stay focused on it, and I'll give an illustration, a quick illustration. A lot of us work together on the convention center. And I mean, I was getting negative press, everything on it. But you know what? I stayed focused and helped carry out that dream and the economic tool that we needed as a city. And look at it now. It's time to expand it, and no one's talking about that in the sense of economics. The reason I ran for office is for economics, the growth of our city, the quality of life for our citizens, and that's really your opportunity to help fine-tune that, because we really do need new checks and balances. How that affects y'all's role with the charter, Carl Vincent, those are the things we really need to be looking at. How do we make our government more efficient with these departments? And taking the pressure off the department directors, because I remember, I'll never forget this, when I sat up there, first time I saw my face in a news article sitting next to Deke, I was Deke's right-hand man. And as before they redid the chambers, and all the department directors would be over here. And it reminded me of a herd of lambs. Really, a lot of them didn't even want to be there. It was just kind of sad that we've created that environment that people can't really blossom and do their jobs properly. And how we do this restructuring or whatever we got to do with your courage and your leadership and your talent, because people saw something in you to put you up there in that role just like they did me as a commissioner. So I think the financial accountability for the city, how that affects your decision or whatever that is that you can influence with Carl Vincent, those roles is, the public they're demanding that financial accountability. We need to know where those parks and recreation dollars are at. I do, I want to know that, I want to understand that, and I can't, and I've been asking for that for a long time. Money that's with Hawthorne's department trying to understand where that's at, what's happened. We just want answers on this, and I think when we start getting answers from our government, and that's your role too, I think, to help facilitate, how do we get that on a basis that's going to be beneficial for long-term in Augusta? And that's why your role is so important, to help influence that, because you got that opportunity to influence. Leadership is not about just leading, it's about influence and stuff. You might not be the popular one, but you're influencing things, and you could take it to the bank that you're going to be doing a good job with that. So I think the efficiencies, financial stewardship and accountability, the economics of how we build our city. That's why I ran, and I do commercial real estate now, and the things that I learned from potential investors, buyers, and all of us on a commercial, from big deals to little deals, all of that's the fabric of our city and how we allow those people. And if our government can't do what needs to be done on a commission level and create a vision in that, the next line of offense is your commercial realtors. We're the ones that deal with those business people every day. And we hear all the stuff that they got to go through in and out every day to get things permitted, plans, license. It just takes so long. So I think, how do we do that? How do we bring that structure to place? So my hat's off to you for doing this right now. Don't let the noise distract you from who you are and why you were asked to sit on that hot seat in that chair today. And I'm thankful for every one of you. And I think the district voting should stay. You know, when I was elected, the demographics were in my district probably, there's 60% now. And for me to win a district that was majority African-American, that tells you something. People want leadership. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to move past the past. Till we're ready to set this down and really do what's right by what roles we serve in our community are so important. And so I look for great things from y'all. I look to see your courage, your stances you'll take, how you'll unify in ways that's going to be complementary to what we as citizens want to see with our city, to make it what it's capable of being. So with that being said, I'll take my seat. Thank you.
Commissioner Aiken, thank you very much for showing up. All right, we're going to ask Mr. Hassan to be the last commissioner today.
Good morning.
Thanks.
Ben Hassan. Just for the record, pretty much in starting out, as you all started out on this journey and coming to this meeting in the way that this body was formed and put together and who it excluded, I came in with a mindset of nothing needs to be changed. Not because it really didn't need to be changed, just because how it was done. Because I'm a policy type guy in terms of how follow the policy to get where you need to go. You know, we all make mistakes in doing those things, but that's primary for me in many ways. However, through my own investigations and through the information that you all have shared, for the individuals you all have brought in, like Ms. Nelson and others, I have a position now. And my position came about prior to former Administrator Fred Russell coming in. And my position is the best form of government that I believe, from all the data that you all have heard, and if you all do what I believe, what I do, I think we'll end up in the same place. And what I've heard and what I've seen and what I've read is don't mind having a mayor, keeps the vote, mayor be a part of the body, have a manager style of government. That manager has the ability to hire and fire. Now, there's a caveat to that, so please don't let me forget that. There's a caveat for that for me. To hire and fire, I think that is important. I think as a commission, I've been involved with bringing people on and dismissing people. And I think a professional manager would do a much better job than being Hassan would on doing it. You know, when we come in as commissioners, we like that authority. We like to be able to do that. But I think at this juncture, we need to do something different. So for the record, I say, let the mayor keep the vote. Let the mayor be a part of the body, because it's still not equal. The mayor still has a responsibility that comes with the mayor that does make it. But you're talking about in terms of setting policy. They're equal in terms of setting policy, so please understand that. That administrator or that manager answers to that body. Now, let me give you the caveat about the manager at this juncture. I believe, and this is not you all's decision, this is a governing body decision, however, if it was to pass. I believe that that manager that comes on board, if it happens to be, this only applies to the current one, if it happens to be the administrator we have now becomes that manager, I would say don't inherit that power for 2 years. Because already they're working with people now, it can have their biases. And you don't want to do people unfairly. Because right now, you can bring them to the commission does it by way of recommendation. And so I would want to see those people protected to get their legs upon them to know that they're being managed in a different way. They got to answer directly to this person. This person determines their future, and they should have an opportunity to adjust accordingly. Now, if you do something different, they do something different, then that goes out the window. A professional manager, that's how I feel about it. And I'm hoping, and I think that's been the best information, whether it be ICMA, whether it's been Ms. Nelson. Some may say, well, we want to, not worry about this mayor, worry about the mayor in the future. Everything I've read, the industry is going based on just what we just said. Because with a vote, that is another form of a strong mayor as a vote. And I think we ought to honor and respect that, and I try to do no more, no less. Because don't do the position of disservice. It's just like spoiling a child. When you give a child everything, most likely you have to carry them for the rest of their natural life. Now, you're supposed to love them, you're supposed to carry them. And so don't do the same thing. Just let that person earn their keep. Like my colleague just said, well, he was fortunate if he just heard they called him the Gang of Six when he was the first white commissioner, became 6'4" in 2010, 2011. I don't remember exactly what one of those years. But we had to experience that almost every day, on a daily basis, the Gang of Six or the Gang of Five. Right now, there ain't but 4 blacks, well, I can say 4 blacks, on the outside, and that's a Gang of 4. So many times we allow outside forces to get inside our head and how we portray it, but we don't hold those parties accountable. So those are my not concerned. Those are my wishes. I think all the data has supported that. I think that's the way you're going to build a stronger and better government. I think that's what's make the mayor a part of that body, and he still has that other extenuating authority that comes with that position naturally, and I think that's the best form of government. Thank you.
Ms. Backus.
The at-large voting question. Mr. Foucher's at-large voting question.
Only one, I'd have a caveat, but wouldn't happen because as Ms. Gaines has shown us that it doesn't allow consolidated governments to do that, and that's become partisan. If they don't do at-large voting, and we do partisan, Republican and Democrat, I'd be for it. It doesn't allow that, so no.
Okay, Mr. Hassan, I just want to understand what I think I heard you say. Can you please go back to the manager and the description of the 2-year contract? You want to give the manager hire and firing authority, and you want that manager to report to the commission, which also includes the mayor. All right, and then the 2-year protection, that was saying contractually when we hire a manager.
It went for all, I'm sorry, I think Coach got it.
It was for the current.
For the current administrator, if you was to convert that position with her there, well, not so much a position, but convert and keep her as the manager, I think because of the potential biases is there, you need to give them opportunity to bond relation from another perspective. And that, as everybody, because everybody just came into another role. If the commission decided to go in another direction, say we want another manager, because we changed the face of the government, then it's not applicable. I don't know whether that could be done or not, but it's not applicable at that point in time. That's my point.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? I think we can all agree this has been very, very valuable to hear from our former commissioners. Certainly learned a lot, and you just moved into the first place, about 5 pages worth of notes. All of you. Very good. Can, if it pleases this body, I'd like to do a couple things before we move on. Ms. Bonner, did you have the minutes? If we could move that up. They're in. I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think I got to see that, but thank you, hon. Does everybody have a copy of the minutes from the September 4th meeting?
I didn't get a copy. Thank you.
All right, let's take a second just to review. They're having some fun out there. Wonderful. Mr. Coleman?
Oh, I'm sorry.
All right. Now, Chet, does anybody have any, Ms. Backus?
I was going to make a motion to accept the minutes.
Right, is there a second? Second. So Ms. Backus moved, Mr. Powell seconded. Let us all plan to vote.
Madam Chair, and just for clarification, item number 6 was a no action item. The committee did not address that at the last meeting. Okay.
All right.
Mr. Pearson?
This is on the
Thank
minutes.
you. Ms. Wilhelmy?
Yes.
Okay. Ms. Robinson? Oh, Ms. Robinson? Okay. It's unanimous.
Thank you. Also, commissioners, before we move into the rest of the body and the Carl Vinson things, is Ms. Robinson is on the phone. I would like to defer discussion of the ethics portion, number 5, to the October 2nd meeting, if that meets with the approval of this body. I think Ms. Robinson should be here, and also we're waiting reports that are not quite ready for prime time. If that's acceptable to everyone, Ms. Bonner will move that to October 2nd.
So that's without objection, right?
Without objection. That's number 5 on this current one. Okay, thank you all. If we can ask Carl Vinson to please present their report.
Sure. We were asked to present some language alternatives on the manager form of government. And we emailed out to the committee, and it was posted to the website, a document. And I just want to kind of briefly walk you through it. There's a preface to the document that suggests an approach to be used in drafting language for the charter. And there are two kind of broad approaches. One is to use language from model city charters, and the other is to use language from charters of other governments that exist. Now, regardless of which of those models you choose, the language needs to be modified to make sure it fits the local context and it's within the state's legal construct. Now, with the Georgia model city charter, that's already kind of been vetted for the Georgia context. The National Civic League's model charter may have a few elements that need to be shaped to make sure it fits the Georgia context. But the most important piece is that you're clear on what the objective you're trying to accomplish is with any of those approaches. So we present here the language from the Georgia Model City Charter, and I just want to kind of highlight a couple of things from that document, to make sure that you're aware that you get to make decisions within this, that you don't necessarily, I mean, you could simply adopt this wholesale, or you could treat each element as a piece where you want to make some decisions. So for example, under the very first element, under the city manager, it says the city manager shall appoint the city council, or in this case, the commission, shall appoint a city manager for an indefinite term and shall fix the manager's compensation. The manager shall be appointed solely on the basis of executive and administrative qualifications. You'll note that there's a footnote there that gives some general language that is sometimes used. In that language is a master's degree with concentration in public administration, public affairs, and public policy, and 2 years experience. Now, that is kind of the general minimum. It would not be inappropriate if you chose that you wanted to have some language about kind of prior experience to have a number larger than 2. And so I think those are the kinds of things that you want to be thinking about when you're reading this, to say, does that fit our Augusta context? And is that something that we want to pursue? And then the Georgia model has a couple of different approaches to removal of the manager. The National Civic League has just one approach, but there are alternatively other approaches as well that we have not necessarily brought before you. But in some jurisdictions, for example, they differentiate termination for cause versus termination for the general preference of the commission. And they may have different standards for choosing one approach or the other. If it's for cause, it is not uncommon for it to be just a simple majority. But it could also be larger than a simple majority. And so, again, those are some of the kinds of decisions that you still have, even having some of this model framework language in front of you, to consider. And so our kind of encouragement to you is that we would encourage you to figure out the set of parameters that you want to use, and then identify any changes that you would recommend, and then recommend that we draft language following that kind of recommendation from the committee on what specific parameters you want to have included, what you want changed, to make sure that we then fit it in the Augusta context that is nested within the state of Georgia context, if that makes sense. So, please. Any questions?
Ms. Backus.
I just want to clarify, under the first part where it says city manager, is that where the certification, I believe it was from UNC Chapel Hill that she had spoken, and I don't remember the letters.
So ICMA has a credentialed manager program, and that would be the place that if you wanted to have that as an expectation. But again, I think it would be similar, that you would do it similarly as with the education, where there are a couple of options. Option one is, in this case, it's a master's degree with 2 years experience, or a bachelor's degree and 5 years experience. For the credential manager, it could be a current credential manager or a manager that is willing to pursue credentialing
Within a certain period of time. Yeah. Okay, thank you, because I don't actually know if our current city administrator is credentialed in that, but I would hate for her to not be eligible for this position. You know what I mean? I think continuity is important. So thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, yours on is Ms. Robinson wanting to ask a question.
Ms. Robinson, do you have a question? Ms. Robinson? No.
All right, thank you. All right, Mr. Pearson? No, pardon me, Mr. France.
Thank you, Carl Vincent. Just a quick question on, I looked at both of those proposals as far as language is concerned. This may, let me make sure I word this correctly. The question is, for a city manager, if that is voted in to have a city manager and they become managers over the department heads, would that be something we would write into the charter, how they would rate those department heads, or would that be something that would be policy coming from HR?
That would generally be something that would come as policy from HR. Now, you could write in an expectation that managers, it would be evaluated on a regular basis, but how that would happen is clearly outside of the charter.
So you're saying we would put it in that they would be rated on a regular basis in the charter?
An expectation for regular evaluation of the department heads.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
All right. Okay, Mr. Wimberly?
I was going to move that we accept this information, a motion that we accept it as information.
Is there a second?
I just had a quick follow-up question.
Okay, a motion, is there a second for that motion? I will second that. Okay, very good, thank you. Any objections? We're going to allow Ms. Backus to speak here, and I think is this the appropriate time discussion for this? Go ahead on.
So my follow-up question, could you guys find out about how long it takes to get that accreditation?
Yes.
So that we can have that information at that point in time?
Yes, and I am generally familiar, and so I can give you kind of a broad brush. So there are kind of three elements to the accreditation process. One is you have to have served for a specific amount of time as a chief executive officer, so an administrator or a manager. Second, there is a testing element. And then third, there is an expectation for continuing education. But we can get that information to the committee, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no other objections, the motion is to receive this as information. Please cast your votes.
Mr. Pearson?
Yes.
Ms. Wilhelmy?
Yes.
Ms. Robinson? Ms. Robinson? To receive as information the Carl Vinson report on the review of the council manager language. Yes. Okay. Receive it as information. Thank you. Mr. France, you voted.
I vote yes.
Vote on your machine. You won't, try it again. They do get, they stuck. Okay, but I'll put you down as yes. Mr. Bryant? Okay. What do they have there? Who else is in my missing? Okay. So, it's unanimous.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Carl Vinson, are you all prepared to speak? We continue to hear in public hearings about, Mr. Kendrick was here, he's not here now, that's too bad, about how our charge to form this committee and how you were pulled into it. Can you describe the process for the public?
Sure. When we were first approached by this, we had some conversations, and we then presented to the mayor a couple of different things. One, a proposal for our engagement, but two, an example of a resolution that could have been used. My understanding is that resolution was then taken and modified by looking at also some other resolutions, likely from other jurisdictions. And there was some conglomeration of those to create the ultimate document that was approved by the, by the commission. And from our perspective, the objective, among other things, was to have an independent body that would make a decision without being influenced by the current commissioners, other than in their role as regular citizens, right? And so that was my understanding as to the kind of why the process was going to be the way it was, where in the end, when this committee makes an adoption of its proposal, that it would then share that with a number of bodies, one of which would be the county commission, but also with other bodies such as the legislative delegation, to make sure that the recommendations from this committee were clearly articulated and shared directly to those who ultimately would have responsibility for doing it. Now, anybody that receives that could then make comments or questions, but they could not change the report that you all issue. That would be your report that would be issued. But the legislative process then would take that and go through the legislative process, which one never knows how sausage is ultimately made, and so.
Okay, Ms. Backus?
So I actually went before the commission a couple weeks ago and asked them to clarify this. And I didn't know that we were going to be discussing this today, so I was not prepared to throw you straight out there, and I don't mean to do that at all. Who normally, in your experience, writes a resolution?
Well, it is not uncommon for us to give an example of a resolution, but then it varies from jurisdiction to jurisdiction on kind of who's the main cheerleader. It could be legal counsel. That is one of the most common places that you see resolutions drafted. But sometimes, commissioners or mayors take it upon themselves to do that. And then it typically goes to legal counsel for vetting before it goes to the full body.
So the topic that I was speaking on regarding the resolution is what I had heard from the town halls. Over a third of our comments go back to the resolution because it had been previously said during commission meetings that it would go back to the commission and they'd vote on it or they could change it and all these different things. And in preparing for that, I did go back to our meetings. And again, I really hate to do this to you, but I'm going to ask if that's okay. Macy Lane actually did the presentation on the process. And it was not only said out loud, but it was part of your physical presentation that it would go back to the commission for a vote. At that point in time, was it your understanding that that's how the process was going to work?
I think that may have been a misunderstanding on our part because the resolution is from the beginning said that it would be presented to the commission, but not that the commission would have to vote.
That is,
But that is certainly different from the recollection we have of what we had said. And so if we had misspoke, that would have been the case.
So, and this is what I tried to explain to the commission, and I wasn't trying to have them re-debate anything. It was what was their understanding when they voted on the resolution. Because at our first meeting, it was you and Mr. Plunkett actually that both had said the same thing, and then come the second meeting, it was something different. And so that's why the community's like, whoa, what is going on here? These things don't match up. And so that's why I wasn't anticipating, and then she brought it up, and it was like, how can I not ask? Because it's right there. So I really do hate to do that, but it was part of your physical presentation that came up on the screen, and it said Augusta, Richmond County on there, but that it would go.
It goes to the county commission, yes. But
no, but that they would vote on it.
But whether or not they vote on it, is up to them on if they want to endorse it, if they want to simply receive it as information, et cetera. And that's my understanding from the beginning. Well, although I will note that I wasn't here at the very beginning of those negotiations, so I don't know that whole history completely.
Okay.
Mr. Wimberly?
Madam Chair, this is for Carl Vinson. So am I to understand now that you're saying that once it goes back to the commissioners, that they have a choice to put it up for a vote or just let it ride on through?
Well, their choice on what to do with it doesn't have any impact on the path that it has going to the legislative delegation. So those are two separate kind of actions. And so, yes, the county commission can decide, as they do with all things, to say, we want to pass a resolution that says we endorse the work of the committee, or we think the committee did X, Y, and Z, and we want to suggest changing A, B, or C. But that would not change your report going to the legislature.
Okay, Madam Chair, one more. That is very confusing to me. My understanding is not real good. It goes to the commissioners. The commission formed this committee. When they formed this committee, based off the documentation that is written and it's been litigated a number of times on what's supposed to happen to it, and it's saying it's going back to the commission. But you're saying, yeah, they get a copy of it, but that's about it. Is that the way I'm supposed to understand that?
I think this is maybe a question for Mr. Plunkett at this point, but my understanding is that this body will issue a report, and that report will be delivered to the commission, will be delivered to the legislative delegation, as well as the governor's office, and maybe even a few other folks along the way. And what those bodies choose to do with that is up to those bodies. And so the legislative delegation could choose to do nothing with it, or they could choose to act on it. That's the prerogative of the legislative delegation, just as the commission could choose to endorse it, could choose to ignore it, could choose to simply accept it as information. And I don't see that as inconsistent with their charging you with a task to create a review of the charter.
Mr. Plunkett?
Madam Chair, just in response to Ms. Backus and Mr. Wimberly, and in support of what Mr. Fasher is saying, is basically, if this body was tasked to do a different type of report, let's just say it was a road project or something like that, then you're sending it to GDOT, what you think should happen, but you're advising the commission as to what you think should happen. The commission may not agree with you as to what should happen, and they may go talk to GDOT to try to get them to change that plan. But your plan, because you're an independent body, should not go to the legislative delegation, I'm going to say maybe unadulterated. Whatever y'all agree to, that's what everybody should see. Then if individual commissioners, or the commission as a body wish to implore the delegation or the General Assembly to adopt something different, that is those prerogatives, and they could take a motion. We probably in the first meeting were a bit less precise than expected to this body, but it does go back to the commission, and they will see it, and they can deal with that with their elected state representatives. I think the best example possibly is we have adopted
it's going to be on the ballot for a floating homestead. The county commission adopted a resolution that said 3.5%. The delegation came back and changed it substantially, and then changed it a second time to make it 3.25%. So what we're suggesting here is if y'all had been the ones who suggested how to do that floating, that's what it is. You should have it this independent nature, y'all should have it just as y'all adopt it. And it should be known that y'all voted, 11-0, or it was 6-5, whatever the vote is, and that may have some indication of the support of that document. And then the commission, if they see in their wisdom to do something to try to, and we use the word very loosely, lobby for changes, that's their prerogative to do. Same way as that anyone in this audience could lobby someone to do that. So it's an important process, and I think it's important for y'all to appreciate the fact that y'all's time, as everyone has said today, is very important, and that your work product is very important, and it should come out and everybody see it as it is.
Thank you, Mr. Plunkett. Ms. Backus?
Just to follow up on your GDOT example, me as a personal citizen, I couldn't create something and then just send it to GDOT because I wouldn't have the authority to do so. So it's the resolution that gives us the authority for it to move forward, correct?
Yes, ma'am. I was just simply trying to say, if you had a plan,
Yeah.
if this body was directed to create a plan, then the commission should get that plan as you drafted it. Whether or not somebody was going to do something with that plan, and again, I was just trying to come up with, on the fly, something that would be a state-related issue. Clearly, no, that was just possibly a bad hypothetical. But here, you were tasked by the county commission to develop a plan, a report that says that nothing needs to be done, some things need to be done to the charter, and that's what they receive, your report, as information, basically, and the state legislature will receive it as information.
So I only brought that up just to clarify that the resolution is what gives us the authority. But if the resolution had stated, like it was said in our meeting, that the commission would vote on it, then it can't move forward until the commission votes on it, if it was stated in the resolution, because that's what gives it the authority to move forward, correct?
But it's not in the resolution.
But it was discussed in the commission meetings, and that's what I'm asking is, it's in the resolution, and whether or not it shows up in there is whether or not it has to be done before it moves forward.
Ms. Backus, I'm not trying to be evasive, but there's enough back and forth. I hate to say the word confusion, but to add a additional hypothetical that if this resolution said X, then what would we do? Obviously, if the resolution read differently, the body would need to be following that resolution. Whether or not it said to send it to the President of the United States, then you would have sent it to the President of the United States. If it said it needed to be voted on by X, then that would be. So you have to follow what to your point, the resolution is to be followed as it's written, and I think it's 15, 16, and 17, or maybe it's 13. It's certain 3 or 4 paragraphs in that resolution. So if it was stated different or there was additional resolution provisions, then that would be the direction and directive of this body of how to follow it. But I don't want to get into misquoted hypotheticals is what I'm concerned of.
Mr. France?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a copy of the resolution, Exhibit A, in front of me, and I was part of a town hall meeting on this past week. Now, to Ms. Backus' point, I don't know, wasn't there when something was mentioned at some meeting about the commission would have opportunity to vote on anything. I was going strictly by this resolution when I was asked the question about the report. And I was reading directly off of 15, which states that the charter committee shall submit a final written report to the commission. It doesn't say in 15 anything about them having the opportunity to change anything or do anything of that manner. I went on to read that also down in paragraph 16, it says the same final report mentioned in 15 shall also. When I see a word that says shall also, it makes me to believe that we are talking about the same report. So we're talking about that same report that we as a body submits to the commission and also submit to the local legislature here in Augusta that also goes to Atlanta for their approval with no changes. So I don't understand where all the confusion came. But now that you say that it was mentioned in a meeting verbally that the commission would have opportunity to change it, well, that's one thing. But I'm going by what's in the resolution. And my position was at that meeting that this report coming for us should be the final report that goes to Atlanta. Now, once they get to Atlanta, they can change it if they want to make changes to it. But from us going to Atlanta, it should be one report coming from this body. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Backus.
So just to clarify, and this isn't me trying to say they should or shouldn't do something. It was me, I went before the commission because there is so much confusion because of what was said in the previous commission meetings. But just to clarify, from my understanding, the commissioners voted on what would go into the resolution before they saw the printed document. Because during that same March 4th meeting, when these things were discussed, one of the commissioners did ask twice, could they see the resolution that had been previously signed? But the one that we have is actually dated March the 11th. So they actually didn't see the physical document until after it had been voted on, which again leads to confusion overall. I don't know, this really doesn't, I mean, although it formed our committee, it doesn't actually have anything to do with us because it's what happens after us, but it is stalling us community-wise because there is so much confusion and distrust.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman.
I'm gonna yield to the coach, and then I'd like to basically ask for us to move on.
Coach.
Well, I think just basically, we have the resolution, we have been charged. And since we've been charged, we have been going about the business of the resolution. If there's any concern about what happened at the commission level, that should be handled at the commission. We are here for charter review. And based on that, we have been doing our job, our due diligence, as best as we know how. And we will give a report when the report is due. And I would like for any discussion regarding commission business to be handled by the commission and the mayor and not this charter review committee. Because there might be confusion in the community. There might be confusion by some members, but I'm not confused at all. Is that as a committee, we have a resolution, legal document signed by our mayor that gave us the charge to do what we're doing. So based on that, I would say let's continue to do what we do, and if there's any concerns or issues related to how it got created, anything, that's not our issue. And with that, I would like to move on to the next agenda.
Agreed.
Second.
Okay, very good. Not sure we need a motion, but we're going to carry on. We're moving to new business. Thank you. Under new business,
yes,
is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I would like a motion, the first motion to retain current legislative structure of 8 districts and 2 super districts with residency requirements.
Is there a second? I'll second. Charlie Coleman and Coach, discussion.
I make the motion based on all the discussions we've had with mayors and then the commissioners today, and even discussion amongst ourselves in subcommittees and so forth and so on. I think that's an issue that we can go ahead and put to bed. So that's why I made the motion for us to go ahead and move forward from here.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Wimberly?
Should that have not fell under the discussion of form of government? You saying it should have?
No, I'm saying there was enough consensus that we decided to put it on the agenda, dispatch with that, because there are very meaty issues you've already got on them. It technically is a form of government question, but we're ready to resolve it, I believe.
Okay, so having said that, so anything we want to bring up that pertains to the form of government, we could just bring it to the body here and do it?
No, as you know from the last meeting, I tried to advance yours. You wanted them, and we went through this whole machination of trying to get it to the right place. It is now properly back in form of government, but I don't know that this isn't going to be a fairly uniform vote to adopt.
I'm not against the motion. I'm against, or I'm concerned with who it's presented at.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Understood. Thank you. All right, Ms. Backus.
I would actually agree with Mr. Wimberly. I think that this was something that should have been in form of government, and I know that it was discussed there, but it should have been voted on by that subcommittee in order to carry it forward. I'm not opposed to it, but I do think that moving forward, if we have a structure, we need to stick to the structure clearly across the board.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Mr. Fouché.
Speaking as the chair of the Form of Government Committee, we have discussed this. I've been very vocal that I would like to see the super districts go away and go back down to a committee of 8 districts. But this is one of those areas that I've come around on, and I think this is all about compromise. And I, as the Form of Government Committee chair, am willing to vote yes on this motion. That's where I am.
Very good. Mr. Pearson.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I can concur with Mr. Fouché. We've had this discussion. It was tabled. It was told to me when I brought it up that the body, that we can deal with it within the body. So we're here now, and it's on the table. It's time to vote.
Thank you, sir. Coach?
And I would feel the same way if this was a motion to make a change. But since this is a motion to retain what we already currently have, I think it's in good faith that we're showing the public and others that this is no longer on the table. You know, there was a lot of concern in these community meetings and town halls and everything that there was going to be some change in the structure. And what I think we have now is an opportunity to say to the community that that's no longer on the table. It's not an issue. Let's not waste our time talking about it. And it says a motion to retain, not a motion to change. I would be one to say it would have to come to the Form of Government Committee if we were changing something that's not already in existence. Our motion is just simply to retain what our current structure is, and to me, that should not cause any heartburn about that.
Thank you, Mr. Bryant. Mr. Wimberly?
Again, my concern is not on the motion to retain the status that we have. My concern is if we're going to form subcommittees that subcommittees be allowed to function as they should, and that is bring motions back to this body so this body can vote on it as a whole. If this body's going to get a subcommittee committee their charge, then you don't need the subcommittee. The chairman of the subcommittee cannot unilaterally make a decision, and then that's where we go. Yes, he did discuss changing the form of government by reducing the number of commissioners. Yes, he did do that, but we never voted on it. We never had a final decision on it, and that's my concern. My concern is with the validity of the subcommittee. Thank you so much. Let's vote.
Ms. Robinson?
Go ahead, Ms. Robinson. I think the thing we have to be conscious of here is that subcommittees have not been able to serve their purpose, and it's for various things because, I mean, the finance subcommittee can't actually function until a form of government is set, and form of government, we've had, that subcommittee had its own set of challenges. So at this point, and I know Marcy has talked about it with me and as well as with other folks, that the subcommittee kind of haven't served their purpose. So I understand where Mr. Wimber's coming from when he's like, well, allow the subcommittee to do their job. But I think we're a bit past that. And I kind of agree with in that a lot of the apprehension of all of the work we've been trying to do has been centered around form of government and people kind of sitting at the edge of their seat trying to figure out what direction things will go. I don't think the subcommittees have been functioning how they were intended, and I think it's the responsibility of this body to decide, and I hopefully we can decide sooner than later, whether we need them going forward. Have they been fruitful in their activity, or have they kind of allowed a lot of the discourse we may have as a functioning committee to kind of fester? So we have to make that truth, whichever way with what we're doing. But at the same time, we have to move forward for where the people are looking for things, because what the people are seeing is a lot of infighting, a lot of like things just not happening because of the infighting, and we have to move forward. This is a huge undertaking, and as I listened to some of the commissioners talk today, what was vehemently clear for me is just because we are charged with the ability to review the charter does not mean we have to solve all problems within this review. So can we focus on the things that are most pressing, like shoring up the guardrails, making sure we have clear paths so this city manager can do their job, because I think we're mostly all on board with that, and just stick to the things that are most needed to be solved right now, not our wish list of things that we want to solve. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Robinson. Mr. Plunkett.
Madam Chair, just to address a couple of the questions that were raised, a motion could be made to the body through the chair, and it goes to the secretary, to the commissioner. If someone felt that it needed to be further discussed at the subcommittee level, then a substitute motion could be made to return it to the subcommittee, and at that time you could have that debate. So it could be, if there was a will that we have to have subcommittee votes, it could be returned as a procedural matter.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Backus.
I just wanted to state that I think subcommittees are valuable. I think it allows us a space to discuss and to kind of hash it out a little bit more than we can up here. Up here, it's a little bit more rushed and formal. Yeah, and you can't hardly, if I don't have my glasses on, I can't see past Coach Bryant. So I personally think that I do like the subcommittee. I just, like I said before, I would like for us to actually follow the procedure as far as that goes. And with that said, can I make a motion to pass number 6? I don't know how you want me to say that. Motion to, oh,
We
you
have a motion on the table in a second, so we're about
Okay.
to vote. If you were, All right, if there being no further comment, please cast your votes.
Can the motion be restated, please?
Yes, ma'am.
The motion is to retain current legislative structure of 8 districts and 2 super districts with residency required.
Wilhelmi is yes?
No.
That motion carries with Mr. Pearson voting no.
Okay. And the last item to be resolved today on the agenda that I'm aware of, looking forward on the calendars, the meetings of November 27th and December 25th both fall on a Thursday where we should be meeting. Pardon? Christmas Day and Thanksgiving Day. I propose we move the meetings back to allow people that travel to be with family would be allowed to do so. So I'm open to entertaining either a motion to accept or an alternative. Mr. Wimberly?
Madam Chairman, I move that the motion that we accept the changes of the dates.
Okay, is there, okay?
Not second.
All right, so very good. So we've got Mr. Wimberly moves to adopt number 7, and Mr. Powell, I believe, was first, seconded it. Is there any further discussion required?
Madam Chair, I just
Yes,
had a
ma'am.
question, because I know previously Carl Vinson had said they leave around the same time as students in December. Does that December 18th date work for you guys still?
I believe it does, and we'll make it work.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Good question. All right, let us go ahead and cast our votes, please.
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, Mr. France?
Do we have an alternative date for November, though? Did
So-
you mention that?
We didn't put it back. I think November 20th is the Thursday before Thanksgiving. And then it turns out to be December 18th. So effectively, folks, what this does is we meet 2 Thursdays in a row to accommodate the holiday issue. Any further questions? Yes, Ms. Robinson?
I would like to ask if we can move it forward a week instead of back a week. Just because I'm and I'm of course asking for the accommodation for myself. I am a college professor, and that previous week is our last week of class.
Yeah. So unfortunately, the problem if we move both of them a week ahead, we're in the same boat with New Year's Day. So how shall we do that? Is it something that you could call into for the meeting on the 20th?
No, I literally teach class during this time. Actually, no, I can call in. Never mind. My class is over at 9 o'clock, so I should be good. We're good.
All right, very good. All right, Mr. Coleman, one last question?
I just want to ask, make sure, Ms. Bonner, are we clear for those days?
I haven't, let me confirm that to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Can we go ahead and vote predicated on the ability?
Contingent upon, yeah.
All right, everybody cast your votes, please.
You gonna,
My vote is yes.
hold on just a moment, Ms. Brown.
Ms. Wilhelmi, before the vote, just for clarity purposes, Ms. Robinson could call in terms of like to be listen in, but she could not participate because she will not be outside of the jurisdiction.
That's true. I teach in Swainsboro, so I wouldn't be in jurisdiction.
Oh, she's,
No, you're out of jurisdiction. We thought
we thought you were,
thinking you were in city, but she could participate. She's out of the jurisdiction.
Well, I'm in city today, but I mean, like when I teach, I'm not.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. That's the clarification we needed. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody please vote.
Okay. Ms. Wilhelmy?
Yes?
Mr. Pearson? Yes. Mr. Pearson, yes. Ms. Wilhelmy, yes. Ms. Robinson, yes.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there any other business to come before the body today? All right. I wish everybody a good, quick lunch, and we will see almost all of you at 1:30. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.